Hi guys, today I have another 3 looks 1 palette coming at you, and I know you're all probably expecting me to do the Feral palette, but the truth is I started filming with this palette before I got the Feral palette, so today we are working with the Destiny palette by Certifeye, which looks like this. I also haven't done a full review on this palette, so I will do that in this video, and if you're just here for the review, you can skip to right here and it will take you straight to the review. But for those of you who are here for the 3 looks, let us just get started and get into look number 1. I'm going to start by priming my eyes, as always, with my MAC paint pot that I'm actually running out of, so I'm kind of impressed by that, if I can say so myself. So just with a first glance into my palette, I can see that there's a lot of shades in here that I still have not dipped into, even though I've used this palette quite a bit. So I'm going to try to dip into the shades that does not have any kick up at all in them, meaning I probably haven't used them. So I think I want to do a purple, green, and orange look today, or maybe something like that, but I'm first going to start off by taking Mystic, which is the dark purple that I've not used yet. And I did not set my primer because I have played with this palette before, and it's definitely one of those formulas that just perform better when you don't layer too much and you don't set your base. So I'm going to first start off by packing this into my... Wow, that's quite the pigment. I was not expecting that. So I'm going to pack this onto my outer corner because I'm starting with my darkest shade. And I'm going to go in and put in a transition shade after. But the reason why I'm putting this one down first is because if I were to go in with a crease shade and then I were to go in with this afterwards, there's already going to be some shadow where I want to place this, and I'm afraid it's just going to dust away and like not really stick. But if I put down this shade first, it's going to be a lot easier to pack down the other shade afterwards. So like this shade matches my hair perfectly. Which actually, I'm so impressed by how my hair has been fading. Even though I have been kind of refreshing it, like I had so many different colors underneath here, and now it's kind of just looking like great, and I'm kind of digging it. And I think I'm going to transition to red next time. And so I'm wondering if I should just kind of stop putting in more hair color until this has faded quite a bit, so that when I do go to bleach my hair at a salon, I never do it myself, so when I do go to bleach again, that don't have a shit ton of color in my hair, because it's going to be a lot easier to get a vibrant red out of this. Alright, so I definitely pulled the shade up a little bit too high because I totally forgot that I was going to go in with another shade to blend this out, but I'm going to, let's see, what do I want to do? Yeah, I'm going to dip into Firestorm. I'm going to take this shade and I'm going to pat that over the edges where I put down the purple. This actually looks more pink than it does orange. So I'm just starting by running this over where the two colors meet to kind of blend them together. And I am also going to go in with another shade in my inner part of my crease, and which shade I have not yet decided. So this shade is definitely pulling more pink than orange, which could also be because maybe I have a little bit of purple left on my brush. So I'm just cleaning off my brush now, and I'm just going to go in with a clean brush and kind of start to just blend this out a little bit more. So I'm kind of wishing that this pink was more orange, so I'm dipping into Hex, which is this top shade, and it honestly looks more orange on camera than it does in the pan, but I'm taking this on my same Colourpop E9 brush. And I'm going to use this in the inner part of my crease. So again, I'm just packing this on. And I'm meeting it up with the pink, which really should be the orange, but we're going to just call it pink. And what I like about this formula is that there's pretty much no kick up at all. Like, these are definitely pressed harder than Blush Tribe's formula is, because that palette tends to get kind of dusty, whereas these are shadows that you can really dig your brush into and it doesn't really matter, which I kind of like that. I don't have anything against either formula, but I do find that these are maybe a little bit easier to work with. So kind of like how this is looking. I'm going to try to just go in with a little bit more of that purple. I have a feeling it's not going to layer very well on top here, but we're going to try it anyway and just see if I can build up some more pigment. I'd say that worked okay, but I definitely would still recommend going in with the darkest shade first in this palette. And I'm again dipping into a little bit more of Firestorm, which was supposed to be the orange shade. And I'm just gonna run that right over the edge here. Alright, so what do we want to do for the lid shade? I'm kind of thinking I just want to use Tonic, which is like a gold shade. I know it doesn't really show up that well on camera for some reason. Maybe I have the brightness up a little too high. Is this better? Not really, but I'm gonna use the shade right here. So I'm using a Morphe M124 brush, and I already sprayed this. And now I'm just going to pack this all over where I don't have any shadow. And I do have a little bit of fallout with that purple shade. So I'm going to take a brush and hopefully... Wow, okay. Yeah, that was super easy. So for my lower lash line, I'm just going to quickly go in with a little bit more of my paint pot before I go in with the colors. Alright, so I think what I want to do is I want to put the blue shade on the outside of my lower lash line, and then I want to use Moss, just this lighter, beautiful army green shade, and I'm going to use that on the inner part, and then I will also pull down the gold a little bit just to overlap with the green after. So that's what I plan on doing, and I'll be using my MAC 228 brush. And I think I can pretty confidently say that this shade right here, the blue, is probably the hardest shade in this palette to work with. Like, this definitely needs to be put down on something that's tacky, because otherwise it just won't stick. Like, I'm having a hard time already trying to build this up enough. I'm going to take that gold shade again now on the same brush, and I'm just going to really pack that into my inner corner and a little bit down my lower lash line just to connect it with the green, but not too much. I think this looks so pretty. So I'm going to finish up my eyes, or at least I'm going to put on some mascara and liner, and then what do I want to do my waterline? I think I'm just going to pop on my Teaspoon by Colourpop, which is a green liner. So I'm going to go do all that, and then we can put on a lipstick. Alright, so here is the finished eye look. For lips, I'm going to use a lipstick that I have not used on my channel before, and this is from Kylie. And it's the only one that I have. This is from a holiday collection, I think. It's in the shade OKURR. We're going to put this on, and I do really like the smell of these. Like, they smell so good. They smell like candy, but they are very, 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 very drying. So just, if that's something that bothers you, you're not going to like these. But the color is absolutely stunning. So because this is so dry, I'm going to wait for it to dry down, and then I'm going to find a gloss and put that on top. And I honestly don't really mind putting glosses on top of liquid lipsticks. I kind of like it, so I think I'm going to find a gloss that has a little bit of a gold shift to it to kind of go with the eye look. So I'm going to use one of my glosses from Anastasia. This came in the little holiday kit they had this year, and this is in the shade Citrine. So I'm going to put that on top. So stunning. So here is the finished look. I am actually really, really happy about it, even though I feel like I've done a similar look on my channel before. Let me know if you remember me doing a look like this, because I feel like I have, but I could also be wrong because I feel like I do so many different looks all the time, so who knows. But this was look number 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's move into look number 2. Alright, let's do another look with this beautiful palette, and I know I always say this, but I'm going to keep it very simple today, and I promise I'm going to keep it very simple, at least for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Warped, which is the beautiful blue shade. I really, really want to use this. And what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to pack it all over my eyes. I'm also going to put it down on my lower lash line. So it's going to be a super simple look. I've already primed my eyes, and now I'm just going to go in and start packing this shade on. And I really want to see if I can build this up to be super opaque, because a lot of these shades have a hard time coming through when you want to really pack it on. I obviously did not set my primer for this, because otherwise the shade would have no chance. And already I feel like I'm going to have a little bit of problems, but we'll see. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep packing this on as tightly as I possibly can. I'm gonna start just like buffing out the edges and see if I'm able to blend this out without it blending away. It looks like it's doing okay. So I'm really blowing this out here because I want it to be just like a big blue smoky eye. And I'm going to try to pack on just a little bit more of this. I don't know how much more I'm really going to be able to stick onto my eyelid, but I'm going to try. So it actually packed on pretty nicely. I don't see much patchiness at all, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. I'm going to take a little bit more of my paint pot and put that down on my lower lash line, and then I'm going to go in with that same shade again and really blow it out. And I'm just taking a clean fluffy brush and I'm going to start just really blending out the edges. And you guys know I'm such a big proponent of just sometimes keeping your eye looks really simple. Like, you don't need to go in with, you know, a bunch of crease shades and stuff like that. It's just so unnecessary because you can get super cool looking eyeshadow looks by just using very few shades. And what I'm going to do to really make this pop is I'm going to go in with the silver shade, which is called Glass Ball. And this shade is so beautiful. And I'm going to pop that into my inner corners, but I'm also going to kind of drag it onto my lid a little bit. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm taking my MAC 228 brush, which is just a very, very tiny, small, flat brush. I'm going to start by just packing this onto my inner corner. And this is going to make like a very light blue shade when I put it on top of the blue that I already have. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I'm mostly just tapping this on top. I'm not really dragging. And I'm also not spraying this because I want this to kind of just fade out and not be super intense. I'm probably going to go in and spray it a bit and just put a little more in the inner corner, but for now, what I'm just kind of packing over, I want this to be more of a topper. I'm also pulling it down on my lower lash line and connecting it with the blue here. And for that real intensity, I'm going to spray my brush and I'm going to pop this right into my inner corner. And I think I want to keep this look monochromatic, so I'm going to put Prance by Colourpop in my waterline, which is just a very light blue. And just to kind of make this look a bit different, I'm going to draw a wing, but I'm going to use this light blue liquid lipstick by Jeffree Star. It's in the shade Breakfast at Tiffany's. So I'm just taking this on a little eyeliner brush and I'm going to do a little wing. And I've said this before, if you don't know if your lipsticks are eye safe, please don't use them on your eyes because you just never know what could happen. But Jeffree Star's liquid lipsticks are said to be eye safe, so I do trust it. And I've used these a lot as eyeliners and I've never had a reaction, so just something to keep in mind. I'm gonna curl my lashes and pop on some mascara and the look will be done. And to finish up this look, I like using cool tone lipsticks when I wear blue eyeshadows, so I'm gonna use Sagittarius by Jeffree Star. And this is just a very, very cool tone mauvey purple. And here's the final look. I really like how this came out. I love doing monochromatic looks. Even though this is a very simple look, I know you guys keep saying, oh my god, you keep saying it's simple, but like when I say simple, I mean as an application, like application wise, it is simple. Like this look only took me about 15 minutes to do, so in theory it's kind of simple. So yeah, I really love looks like this and I just think it's so fun. Let me know what you think down below and let's just move into look number 3. Alright, it's time for look number 3, and today I kind of want to do a, not a neutral look, but I kind of want to work with some oranges and browns, but I also want to pull in some green, and we will just kind of see where this goes. I don't have like an exact plan on how I want to arrange the colors, but that's kind of the color scheme that I'm thinking in my head that I want to work with. So I'm going to start off by priming my eyes with my MAC paint pot. I'm first going to dip into Moss, and I'm going to take that on my Colourpop E9 brush. And I'm going to start by packing that into my inner part of my crease. And you guys know I love to do this technique. I just find it's a really good way to be able to put two different colors into the crease without them kind of blending together. And because I want this shade to kind of stand out. Next Next, I'm going to take Brew on the same brush, and I'm going to start by packing this onto my outer corner. And I'm going to use a different shade to blend this out with. But first, I just want to get the shade down. And I know this looks like the order in which I'm doing stuff is very awkward, but the thing is that I like to put down the darkest shade first and then go in and blend it out with a lighter shade. So that is what I'm doing. So I'm first packing this on where I want it. And I'm not taking it up all the way into my crease because I want this other shade that I'm putting above to blend into the green. And the shade is absolutely beautiful, and I don't often say that about browns, but I just really like the undertone of this. And if you really want the full pigment out of these colors, don't tap off your brush. I see so many people doing that, and then they wonder why they don't get the full color payoff. Well, let me tell you, that's why. I mean, unless you're the type who like to go in several times and build it up slowly, but I am not like that. I just want the colors on my eyes like ASAP. Like, that is my goal every time I do eyeshadows. So next up, I'm going to take Hex, which is this shade up here, and I'm going to start by blending out this brown shade with the orange. So I'm just kind of tapping over where they meet. I'm not going back and forth too much, and I'm not pulling the orange over the green. I'm dipping into a little bit more of that Brew shade, and I'm just going to go right over top here and make sure that I pull this in far enough to kind of meet up with the green. Next, I'm just taking a little bit more of the orange, and I'm going to go in and do my final blend up here. Go in with a little bit more of that green, and I'm going to kind of tuck that a little bit lower down here and also into my inner corner because I'm going to go in with a shimmer afterwards, so I want to make sure that I have enough shadow on here to cover up where I'm not going to put a shimmer. And I'm also going to just gently kind of blend the edges up here. I kind of like the look of shadows almost going up to where your brow starts. I think that looks kind of cool. And just for fun, I really want to do the opposite on my lower lash line. I know I've done that quite a bit lately, but I just think it looks so cool. So I'm going to go in with the green shade, and I'm going to put that on the outer corner, and then I'm going to put the orange here. I'm not going to go in with the darkest of the browns because I think that's going to look a little bit too dark right here. So I'm just going to stick to the orange and the green. And then for my lid shade and my inner corner shade, I'm going to use Tonic, which is just a very light champagne-y gold shade. And I'm also going to spray this because I want this application to kind of be precise. So I'm also using a small brush, and this is the Morphe M124. And so I'm going to kind of pretend like I'm doing a cut crease with this shade here. And I will probably have to go in with a couple of layers because this shade is not super opaque when you first put it on. I'm also going to put this right into my inner corner and just a little bit over the orange on my lower lash line. And for my waterline, I'm going to use this yellow by Colourpop. It is called Punch. And if you don't want this to be as popping, you could absolutely use like a darker green or maybe an orange even, and I think that would tone it down a little bit. So I'm going to go off camera and put on a little bit of wing liner, some mascara, and then I will come back. We can put on some lipstick and I can tell you what my thoughts on this palette is. So here is the finished eye look. Now for lipstick, I actually think I want to do a red today because I find that so many of my looks, especially the colorful ones, just don't look right with a red lipstick. So I'm going to use Ambush by Colourpop. This is one of their Ultra Satin lipsticks. So this is the final look. Let me know down below which one was your favorite. I have a hard time choosing because they were all so different, even though they were all from the same palette, but I really did enjoy look number 2 just because I love blue eyeshadow and I don't feel like I use it often enough. So I guess we should get into the review portion of this video now. You all know that I've started to rate all of my palettes as I try out and that I review, and this will not be an exception because I will be rating this as well, and I don't know yet what my rating will be, so I want to just kind of talk through what I think of this palette before I make up my mind on what the rating should be. So what I want to start off by saying that I do have one complaint, and it is that a lot of these shades are extremely similar, like very, very similar. Like this shade, this shade, this shade, pretty much the same. Also this shade and this shade is basically the same, and I do wish that they would have added in a mustard color. Like just looking at my sweater, like don't you think this would have looked so good, like instead of this one maybe? That's like one of the things that I feel like is really lacking in this palette, is just like a yellow. Also another complaint that I have is that a lot of these colors don't look the same on the eyes that they look in the pan. A lot of them look a lot lighter when you put them on the eyes. Even though I don't set my base, they still kind of show up lighter than you would think they would. Not that that necessarily is a bad thing, it's just something to keep in mind when you are working with it, because they won't show up exactly like they do in the pan. I do really like the formula though. I think the mattes are really, really, really nice, and if you apply them on top of a non-set base, they really, really pop. It's also one of those palettes that, I know I've said this so many times, but it's just a kind of formula that don't really build on itself that well. So if you want to go in with like 3 different colors in your crease, I'm not so sure how much that third color is really going to hang onto your eyelid. But I mean, just with this palette, there really aren't that many combinations. You can't layer that many colors on top of each other anyway, just because they're all very similar in tone. So, but I do really enjoy the formula, and I think that the shimmers are nice. They're not the kind of shimmers that get really foiled. It's not like a Juvia's Place shimmer. These are more like, I'm not really sure which formula I would compare this to, but they're definitely more on like the sheer buildable side. They also feel very creamy. They're not crumbly at all, so you don't have to go in with a spray brush. But as you can see, when I was applying the shadow, it really builds nicely on top of itself, which I do enjoy. And I also really like that they have a silver and a gold in a palette. I do really think that that goes with this color story, and I appreciate that they put in 2 cool toned shimmers to go with the cool tone mattes. I think that's a really good idea. I do, however, wish though that maybe they could have exchanged some of these shades here that kind of look the same for a shimmer instead of a matte. I think that would have made the palette a little bit better, because it's not like they're going for an all matte palette, you know, like that would be a little bit different. But since they do have shimmers in there, I feel like they could have maybe rearranged it a little bit and just put in a couple of more shimmers. I think that would have really completed the palette and made it even better. As for a rating, I would probably give this an 8. Because I do really, really enjoy it. Like I said, the only things that I really have to complain about is that a lot of the shades are very similar. So I feel like that was a bit of a missed opportunity for them, that they could have really had like a home run with this palette. But I think it's beautiful. I really like the packaging. I think it's super cute. It's very sleek. It's very thin. And I like that you can kind of fold this over. It just makes it a lot easier to show on camera. And yeah, no, I really like this palette, and I think that if you have been eyeing it for a while and you're thinking about buying it, I would definitely recommend it, and I think it's a great purchase. And I'm really excited to see what else Certifeye can come out with, because I've been very intrigued by their color stories. I think that their palettes are great. I do wish they would come out with some smaller palettes. I think that would be awesome, just because we don't really need this many shades in a color story that looks like this. So yeah, I guess that was all I wanted to say about this palette. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down below if you have this palette, or if you plan on picking it up, or if you have anything else from Certifeye. I would love to know what you think about it. So thank you so much for watching, as always. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would join my family by subscribing, and hopefully I will see you all in my next one. Bye.